Hey everybody, Sarsaparilla here. So, in our recent ban list episode with Solemn, we were discussing what our ideal hits on that ban list would have been, and I floated the idea of giving Percival the swordmy treatment. And I'm realizing that people might not know what that means, because it was this old, kinda goofy ruling that was kind of obscure and never impacted the game all that much outside of its initial conception. So let's do a video about it, because yay, free content. So, Jewel Knight Swordmy is an old promo card that was released in 2015. You may know him from such hits as being really expensive on TCG Player because Jewel Knights are kind of relevant right now and he only ever had one printing. His skill reads, counterblast one card with Jewel Knight in its card name, because Jewel Knights were from an era where Bushiroad was really all in on archetypes. Anyways, when this card is placed on Rearguard Circle, you can pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for a grade 1 or less Jewel Knight, call it to Rearguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. So this is a pretty good card, I would say. You know, it's just cheap, easy advantage. The only real limitation is that its strength is directly proportional to how good Jewel Knights are. And you already know that I'm about to subvert that statement because this is a video about how this card has its own special ruling. So, there's this old card from 2013 called Sanctuary Guard Dragon. And his gimmick was that he gained 3,000 power for each of your grade 1 or less rear guards. And then in 2015, in the Fighters Collection, they gave it a stride version, Sanctuary Guard Regalia. This card gives your whole front row 3,000 power for each grade 1 or less rear guard. As you can see, Swordmy synergizes pretty well with this archetype. He gets you a grade 1, which then boosts up your power. With just 2 grade 1s in the back row, Sanctuary Guard Regalia can push a standard column up to 22,000. And remember, this is old Vanguard, where grade 3s are 11,000 base, and triggers have 10,000 shield, so 22 is actually a good number. But of course, being able to make big numbers isn't enough to justify Swordmy getting its own special ruling, so let's introduce the next piece of our puzzle, Knight of Twin Sword. This card reads, Auto, Rearguard Circle, Generation Break 1, Counterblast 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if this unit is boosted, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for up to 1 grade 2 not named Knight of Twin Sword, call it to Rearguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. So, now we have Sancguard giving you power, Swordmy building a board and fueling Sancguard, and Twin Sword getting you an extra attack. And if you use Twin Sword to call Swordmy, then Swordmy can call another grade 1 to have a booster, so all of your attacks are going to hit solid numbers. Throw in all of the requisite Jewel Knight grade 1s, and you have a pretty solid aggro deck. And of course, this was G-era, and Swordmy does not have a GB restriction on him, so in addition to your late game stride turns, you could also early game a bit. All in all, it's a pretty solid deck. Looking at historical results on Bushiroad's website, this deck did see some regional success, though I don't think it was ever the top tier threat of this meta. Going off of just top cuts, it seems like Revengers and Metalborgs were the big threats of this meta. Metalborgs in particular got second place at Worlds, just after Ripples. And speaking of, this was also the time where Ripples were just destroying the game. So, just going based off of, like, top results, I get the feeling that this deck was always good, but not great, you know? Though, evidently, Bushiroad still felt this deck was enough of a problem that they had to hit it. So, on January 22nd, 2016, on the same ban list that restricted Odysseus to 2, Bushiroad issued a new ruling that said, decks that include grade 3s without Jewel Knight in their card names cannot include Jewel Knight Swordmy in the deck. So, another funny thing about Swordmy is that he's actually the Legion mate of another card, Prevail Jewel Knight Yvain. So, really quickly, Legion is an old mechanic where your grade 3 would have another unit listed in its card text, and that card was your Legion mate. So, if both players were grade 3, you can return 4 cards from your drop zone into your deck, and then search out for that Legion mate and put both cards on the Vanguard Circle, and they were just both your Vanguards now. So, this presents a problem for Bushiroad. They want to restrict Swordmy somehow, but changing the number of copies adversely affects Yvain, the intended boss card. So they issued that weird ruling that said, if your deck has non-Jewel Knight grade 3s, then you just can't play swordmy. So Jewel Knights can still have their support, but other decks can't abuse swordmy anymore. So now coming back to present day, we're facing a very similar problem with Bluish Flame Liberator Percival in V. This card is extremely powerful and has seen widespread use in a variety of decks. It is currently limited to 1, and that one copy has single-handedly made Gurgit into a top-tier meta threat. However, while Percival is a problem card in the meta, it is also tied to another card, Bluish Flame Liberator Prominence Core. Prominence Core has an act ability that you can Counterblast 1, retire a rearguard, look at your top 4, choose up to 2 unit cards and call them, and put the rest to the bottom of your deck. If you have Percival in your soul, you can choose up to 4 instead of 2. And then Core also has an auto ability that says, when your rearguard is placed until end of turn, that unit and this unit get power plus 3000. If that unit is Aglavale and your opponent is grade 3 or greater, this unit's original crit becomes 2. As you can see, Prominence Core gets a huge boost from having Percival around. In addition to being able to call 2 extra cards for having Percival in the soul, having Percival as a rearguard to call out Aglavale means you can trigger Prominence Core's extra critical as well. And so, Percival taking a hit feels like Prominence Core has to pay for the crimes of Spectral Duke and Gurgit. And with the upcoming Holy Shine Dragon, it seems like this problem is just going to get worse. Now, Holy Shine was clearly intended to be Liberator support. There are a ton of restrictions on riding on top of a Liberator, searching for a Liberator grade 3. However, just like Freezing Witch Bende, there's nothing actually stopping you from just shoving 4 copies of Gurgit into a Liberator deck to take advantage of the extra ride into Percival. You just start off riding Holy Shine into Percival, which is already pretty strong on its own, and then later on you can just re-ride into Gurgit and get crazy pressure from all your extra Excel circles and power gain. And so, by all accounts, Holy Shine looks like it's going to be a huge problem. He is Percival copies 2 through 5 for a deck where 1 copy was too much. And this is kind of a situation where both Percival and Holy Shine are problems. Now, I do think Holy Shine is a fundamentally broken card that probably just shouldn't exist. Even without Percival, Holy Shine would be a ticking time bomb just waiting for something to break it. So, while I do think Holy Shine should probably be banned eventually, there is a logic to not banning it immediately after release, because people have to invest money into these sets, and hitting a new card immediately after release kinda hurts people's faith in the game. Late Vieira. So with that in mind, Percival is the most obvious ban target. However, as I said, this has the side effect of damaging Prominence Core, who did nothing wrong. So my proposal that I gave on the podcast was that we revive the swordmy ruling for Percival, where you can only play it in a deck with grade 3 Liberators. That way you can have all of your crazy support in the intended archetype without other decks coming in and stealing the combo for themselves. They would probably have to tweak the ruling a bit to be like grade 3 normal units because of heal guards and like if they ever print more V orders. I feel like this could be a solution to satisfy everyone. Bluish Flames can keep doing their thing, and Gurgit doesn't get to abuse support that obviously wasn't intended for him. And if Liberators end up being a huge problem, then they can just ban Holy Shine because that card is stupid. But I guess we'll see what happens. For now, that's going to be it for this video. If you like the video, then by all means, engage with it, appease the algorithm. Tell us what you think about the swordmy ruling. Do you think it's something that Bushiroad should bring back, and do you think it would be an appropriate solution to the question of Percival and Gold Paladin? As always, thank you to our $10 patrons, Darren, Cole, Joss, and Jeremy. If you want to support us, go to patreon.com/nexusatnight. $5 gets you a whole-ass bonus show, $10 gets you early access to videos, and a shoutout like I did just now. We have a promo code at night at 50cards.shop for 5% off your orders. We also have merch, the link will be in the description. And you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Nexus at Night. You can follow Atlas at Atlas Novak. You can follow Matt at Wiggums, 2Gs, 2Zs. And you can follow me at Plasma Eclipse. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.